welcome to the Blockchain Startup Show. I'm Avan Dabash. And with me here today, continuing the conversation from our last episode, we've got our Web3 masters.
Last week on the Blockchain Startup Show.
What goes into their mindset is, thinking of decentralized systems as opposed to centralized systems, thinking of transparency and ownership to the users or empowering the users as opposed to empowering the organizations behind.
A blockchain developer is more likely to be building a network rather than a standalone product that operates like what we like the things that we use on a day-to-day basis.
Trading side, definitely there are ups, downs, and hundreds of things happening. But on the tech side, the growth is constant, regardless of whatever the coin does or whatever the price is in the market. And more developers are learning how to code here. That's going to be the next edge for a country like India here. We don't want to miss out on this wave.
Now, we all know that the world of technology is venturing into uncharted territory, where online experiences are being pushed into new realms of efficiency and effectiveness. To explore this very interesting world, we've got with us Kavya, Raghu, and Pareen. So guys, welcome back to the Blockchain Startup Show. Let's continue our conversation about the adoption of blockchain technology in India and its future. Kavya, let me come to you. We know that you're making a coordination platform for developers and the ecosystem. We've never really seen such an ambitious project before this, although developer training has been a big thing in tech for decades. So I want to understand, how is this different and how many developers have you trained?
So coordination platform would be undercutting everything that we're doing. So basically what we're essentially trying to cater to, and this has come from learnings from the past for us, right? We've been working on innovation programs from 2018. And what we've been doing is essentially evangelizing blockchain technology to developers through opportunities. What we wanted to do is essentially help the developers learn practically and grow with it and then earn as an outcome of what they've learned, right? So this is done through several form factors. There are education drives that we do. There are workshops that we conduct on ground. There are hackathons that we conduct with different chains out there. So what we learned in the last 4 years is that the end-to-end catering of the journey of a developer doesn't exist, right? All of these exist in silos. So what we essentially wanted to build is something that would cater to that entire journey of a developer, everything from learning, earning, and hiring, as well as maintaining a record of whatever they've done, their upskilling on one platform, everything that is, everything decentralized in a way, right? And incentivize them for that. One of the biggest learnings we found is that companies are ready to pay for developer acquisition, right? For developer activity on chain. And which is how we essentially started building our innovation programs to begin with. Now, if we are able to streamline this and automate it in a way where companies can handle the shared community of developers that we build for the entire ecosystem, as opposed to having them sucked into one ecosystem and then, become stagnant there, right? We are kind of giving the developers the opportunity to explore several ecosystems, as well as companies to manage these people and the right kind of talent on one platform. So in a sense, what the platform is a metaverse, and we wanted to build a layer that essentially brings all of the bits and pieces that are mentioned together in one platform, right? So essentially what is different here is that we're trying to become sort of like a enabler as opposed to, a single product handling a single function. We're trying to enable developers for their end-to-end journey. So they end up staying in this one place to, explore opportunities and find the right folks to, say, build a product with. If they are, looking to start up, they can also find their team there. So it just becomes like a community that kind of helps each other, grows together. And, it can also eventually evolve into sort of like a R&D center, right? Get enough smart minds together on one platform and you will see magic happen. So far, we've been able to get a community of 60K developers over the course of the programs that we have done. And, that is obviously growing and we are about to launch the product. So the number is only going to increase from here on.
That's pretty commendable. And Pareen, I want to understand from you as well, if Lumos does this, where does BuidlersTribe really come in? Our
job at BuidlersTribe is to come in and figure out who's going to be a builder. So there's a hacker and there's a builder. Hacker is someone who really likes to code. can go on a weekend and whip up a product. So when we say a hacker, you can really code very well. But as a founder, the skill set required is a lot different. Plus, the risk-taking ability has to be very, very high. So as a founder, generally we ask them, are you willing to give at least 3 to 5 years of your life to this particular project? Because no company or a project or a protocol, anything is built under 3 to 5 years. So generally, when hackers get into a funded kind of an environment, or they try to scale their product, they want to acquire customers, they have to exercise a very different set of skills. Those skills in generally young founders that we see today in Web3 are missing because they've not worked for 10 years in a company, or they don't know how to set processes, how to go about hiring, how to get funding. There are so many misconceptions, and there are no industry standards as of now. Everyone's doing things in their own way. It's a phase where everyone is experimenting. What we are trying to do at BuidlersTribe is support all of these people. And our mission here is to figure out how to make founders last longer. A ton of companies die right from the phase that they go full-time into a project and get funded. That's where maximum founders need all the support. So we go to a hackathon, or we go to a place like this, figure out who's willing to take that really long risk. Those are builders. Builders stick with the problem. The product can change, the market can change, absolutely everything can change as they get more and more feedback. But the problem statement remains. The way we do it is we have a coordination tool as well, really not as high-tech and advanced as what Kavya has at Lumos as of now. But our coordination platform works in a way where founders come in and post progress. So every week they log in and say, hey, this is what I did this week. And we want to support founders who persevere. The way we want to do this is to make sure that the startup ecosystem support that existed in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, in Web2 is created as clusters in every city of the world wherever there are developers building on Web3. We are a coordination platform as well as a community that's localized. We are running in 14 cities right now globally to make sure that we can go ahead and support these founders. Our mission is to make sure that more startups survive, most founders survive. And that's where we come in. It's the exact next step. The way we envision is Silicon Valley has Stanford, Y Combinator, and A16Z. Every place in the world needs it. Bangalore definitely needs it. India needs it. We believe that founders come from everywhere, every city, every place, every school. So at BuildSo, you don't get rejected unless you stop posting progress. The only way to get rejected is to stop posting progress. Otherwise, as long as you keep posting progress, our team, our ecosystem, partners, everyone will come and support you in whatever way possible. So we are truly, truly obsessed with founders and figuring out how to make their lives a little less hard. That's our job. So I hope that explains what BuilderStribe does.
So Kavya, how do you see India gaining from the blockchain industry?
Job creation is one of the biggest things that this industry brings to India. And this goes for any new industry, right? There are new opportunities that come and it doesn't necessarily have to be tech. And quick anecdote, right? Like I'm an architect by degree, but I still run a blockchain company. I have, I'm building a world in the metaverse, I could say, even though I didn't do it physically. Everything that Web2 companies had, plus that blockchain development arm is what Web3 companies are, right? So all of these people in Web2 startups or Web2 organizations can actually transition to this space. So there are so many new jobs that come up. The second thing is economic growth. I think blockchain is our key to actually going to the next level in terms of our economic growth. Third is financial inclusion, right? We are, 22% of our population is unbanked. And through these decentralized systems, and if we are able to build financial systems and financial services for the unbanked, we would be able to actually get everybody to start, like exploring this and, make India more financially inclusive. So I think India is a hotbed for entrepreneurs, and, Web3 kind of enables anybody to start and get on with that.
Raghu, I'm going to pose the same question to you. How are you looking at India really benefiting from the blockchain industry?
I think this is something that Web3 needs more than what India needs. Everybody keeps talking about the biggest problem in Web3 being a lack of users and a lack of distribution. Generally credit an investment-averse market like India to consider a new asset class. But I don't think that's what the greatest bit about crypto in India is. I think the greatest thing that will bring people into crypto is employment. I personally believe that that is the greatest on-ramp for crypto for the world. Now, what does India have that this industry needs the most? We have a demographic bulge, 600, 700 million people under the age of 25, very high concentration of qualified and educated resources. Web3 is also open, distributed, remote in a big way, which is quite exciting for me because if you have a skill that you can try and bring it to a fledgling industry in a very, very professional manner, which I think India has quite a bit of, I believe that, that to me is the greatest thing that India can give to Web3. Now, what it does in return for India is that it generally raises the bar of the quality of work. And I think Pareen touched upon this a little earlier, where he said that there are so many interesting problems to solve in Web3, and generally the quality of work that a tech-enabled resource can do in Web3 is a lot higher. Why does India have so many engineers? Have you ever thought of that? In my previous jobs, we did a survey about why engineering is such a big thing, and this was done by a very large market research firm. And the number one answer that everybody had, especially in the lower middle class to middle class families, was that they saw engineering as a leveler. Web3 is a much bigger leveler once you have that education. And I really think that where India can truly benefit, the first biggest point is that we will be the workforce of Web3 in the world. I think that the brand that does manage to do this from India will be a very consequential Web3 company that originated here, something that people use on a day-to-day basis, something that affects everyday life in a very, very deep way. Indians are already doing it. Indian brands will perhaps go out and do it. And my bet is on the fact that that brand will be a Web3 company.
On that note, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Blockchain Startup Show. Let's continue our conversation about the adoption of blockchain technology in India and its future. I would like all of you to tell me, what is the one use case of blockchain that you're really excited about? Kavya, let's start with you.
Right. So mine would be very pertinent to what I'm building and the challenges that, I've faced while building this metaverse, right? So one big problem that I've seen that I think decentralization can solve quite nicely if it's decentralized enough is rendering, right? So currently we have AWS cloud rendering. So, you essentially don't use what the hardware's GPU is, and rather, render it on the cloud and then, showcase it on the screen of the user. So if there were a way of, decentralizing this rendering requirement, right? And using, say, GPU of several devices across the globe. So every metaverse that is browser-based can essentially use this network to render and actually speed up the way, your interaction is within a metaverse. Right now, everything is very glitchy. It depends on the hardware of the person. It depends on their internet connectivity, and all of these problems get solved with this. So I'm very excited for something like this to, come up, and it's already happening. It's just a matter of time about how quickly we can get to that level. Second thing is credentialing, and that's something that we're doing as well in the blockchain. So, on-chain resumes is so important right now. And also a way to kind of have an amalgamation of everything that you've done, right? And rather than having it split across several platforms. If you send me a PDF resume, I'm always going to think, how do I authenticate this? How do I verify if all of this information is true? So if we are able to verify and put all of this data on chain and actually have this one place that you can look at this one person's identity, like an SPT, that is a game changer again, right? Everyone from like recruiters to finding, partners for a job, it just gets so much more easier when you have that in hand. So yeah, these are two things that I'm very, very excited about.
And Pareen, what about you?
I think the biggest use case that I am excited about is social. What we've seen in last 10, 12 years is the rise of Facebook and now Instagram, and absolutely every content platform that is out there is turning into this attention-sucking machine. Second problem in social is where we don't own any of our data. Tomorrow, if Facebook shuts down or Twitter were to shut down, everything's gone. Yes, we can export it, but it's not owned by me. We know that already, right? And Twitter shutting its API, one of the biggest shocks that the industry got and developers got, because they've been building apps on Twitter for a decade now, and one day you just shut their API and everything's gone, right? So all of these happens because we have this centralized entity controlling our data. So let them control their appearance, their network, their front-end interface, but on the back end, the data should be controlled by the user, which blockchain enables today. It's extremely early. I'm not saying that any of the apps that are out there are going to be the killer app, but the thought process has started saying, hey, for social networks, let users own everything that they have through their wallet, which is interoperable. I can take it to any social network out there. Second, let me own my friend graph. Okay, so today, if I go from Instagram to Twitter to the next social network, my friend graph doesn't really continue, which is a very sad reality of life. In this age of internet, we would hope that these apps would collaborate, benefiting the user, but they don't. They create silos, hurting the user and getting their DAUs or eyeballs in place. In all of these cases, blockchain will bring transparency, ownership, and interoperability. These three things are extremely important today because a blockchain can really, really bring this together, hold it, and solve this. One, I would like to take the liberty of quickly introducing one more project that we are actually working with very closely. It's called Learn Web3 now. This is started by two very young founders who've now built a community that's more than 150,000 people. And what they are doing is they're putting credentialing on chain. So as a developer who's learned something, my credentials are on chain and I can really showcase that to the world. Polygon's already started. Legit.doc is experimenting in India with some credentials with existing universities. Learn Web3 now is going out and saying, hey, start your credentials, build it from here. And I think in less than a year, they've built a community of 150,000 people across the world. That's phenomenal. This is only possible because blockchain is absolutely global and the community is really tight-knit. So when you have an innovation, when you have a great platform, people come together.
Got it. And finally, Raghu, what is the one use case of blockchain that you're really excited about?
Well, the bad thing about going last is that all your points are stolen by the other participants. But a lot of what they said is that it overlaps things that I'm looking forward to. I think the social graph bit is severely underrated, and a traversable identity that goes across platforms that maintains its attributes, I think is super powerful. Metaverse, 100%. I'm like, the hype has died down for Metaverse right now, but I think now is when I'm like super excited about it because if we are to go by all the rumors right now, I think there is going to be a big breakthrough on the device level by a large OEM that will build a very usable, metaverse experience device, and that also means that there'll be a proliferation of applications that you can use on that. Now that plugged in with the openness of Web3 and also this traversable identity, logic, I think really levels up, and that would be my large point here. I think we've got to stop making this, it's Web3, so it's good, right? Or it's decentralized and so it's good. And no, it's not. Most of the time, centralized ways of working are far more efficient and perhaps better. The only lens with which we are looking at it is, one, does it make sense for this to be decentralized? The Web3 angle has to essentially be a force multiplier for what it is. It is better because it is decentralized, not decentralized for the sake of being that. So I think there are several blind spots in how we are thinking about the industry as well. And we see this on a daily basis, that there is this use case that you definitely not heard about, but it makes sense because it is decentralized. And what I am personally excited for is unearthing those use cases, because some person very close to the problem has saying that, hey, if I distribute this and if I decentralize this is definitely going to be a better product offering than what is out there. And it's a phenomenal time to be in Web3 because right now, obviously, all the speculative hype has died down. People are looking at it for what it really is. I think that's what I'm most excited about in the days to come. Plus everything that Pareen and Kavya said before this.
Well, on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of the Blockchain Startup Show. I'm sure all of you viewers would have enjoyed watching and learning as much as I have enjoyed conducting this interview. With that, Kavya, Raghu and Pareen, thank you so much for being a part of the show.